And now, for the audio-visual event of the year. An unprecedented experience for friends of family and friendship and music. This is Earbuds.
Welcome to the Earbuds podcast, everyone. My name is Yiorgos Tsivranidis.
I am Benjamin Danzig.
And I'm Matt Griffin.
And we're just three buds talking about what we like to put in our ears. This is the beginning of season 2. Woo-hoo. There's actually video now. This is wild. We have mics. Do we look professional yet?
I think now this is going to be the end of Earbuds because everyone sees how ugly we are.
Yeah, they're like, no, I'm not going to watch this.
We're just raw.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
We're just raw.
It's so raw. The studio is still under construction, as you might be able to tell. We're making moves. We're figuring out our format. And we're going to jump right in with episode 1. We're going to talk about Oxnard, new Anderson Paak. We're going to talk about DiCaprio2, the new JID album, or JID, the new Meek Mill album. And then we're going to talk about this guy called Tekashi 6ix9ine that you guys may have heard of. He's kind of all over the news right now.
Kind of the weekly scumbag.
Yeah. Oxnard first. Let's move away from scumbags and move to a beautiful, bright person named Anderson Paak. Oxnard came out finally. Anderson, I feel like, has been teasing it for a very long time. I loved it. How do you guys feel about it?
I loved it as well. I mean, it was a great album. Not quite Malibu level, but I don't know if that's a product of, me just liking the style of Malibu better, or I haven't listened to this enough quite yet, because that album took some time to simmer. It really built up over time, but I think he sacrificed some of the album's overall continuity in favor of trying to showcase his range, because some songs he's doing the R&B thing, some songs he's trying to rap, and I think he does both very well, but I don't know that the songs really flow into one another quite as well as Malibu did. But I love the album overall. Tints is just always stuck in my head. He keeps it funny. Head Low is, one of the funniest skits you'll ever hear.
I was shocked he put that so early. It's like the second or third song, and it's like, all right, we're here.
Yeah,
This
definitely don't listen to the end of Head Low loudly around your parents, your kids. Just headphones for that song.
Yeah.
Matty G, do you have any other highlights from the album?
Highlights from the album? I would just say overall on the album, I definitely had higher expectations because of Malibu as far as his progression as an artist, which Ben kind of talked about. He definitely played it a little safe. I still very much enjoyed it, but I didn't feel like he went anywhere necessarily. And I think Dr. Dre producing probably had something to do with some of that. Did he produce the whole album, or was it select songs?
I think he mixed and mastered the whole album, but then he had specific songs where he was actually part of the production. I have to agree with you guys. I liked the album. I really, really enjoyed it. But when you have so much time to sit with an album like Malibu that, like, you end up loving each and every single song. And then Oxnard I've gone through like 7 or 8 times at this point, and I still like my favorite songs. Mansa Musa is amazing. Both of the singles, so Who Are You and Tints, and then what's that? 6 Summers. 6 Summers is amazing. Just an amazing song. I wish he delved into gun violence a little bit more. I wish he said a little bit more about it. He just kind of expressed this general feeling that everyone has of disgruntlement.
Yeah, and I think that's, it showed some progression as an artist, that he was willing to talk about societal issues. And, he didn't do it with as much grace as Kendrick or J. Cole might do, but, it's his first attempt, and at least he's trying to do something that, grows himself as an artist. And, I respected that. I also thought 2 songs that you didn't mention were, what's the one with Snoop Dogg? I really like that one.
Oh, yeah. What is that one?
Anywhere.
Anywhere was really good, and he had some really great riffs in that.
My caveat about that song is that the Snoop verse has nothing to do with the rest of the song. Like, it's just a California verse. It's sweet. it's very sweet, but it's just like it doesn't tie in. It's one of those moments where like I felt like he compromised a lot is like kind of the overarching theme. He compromised, but continue. I just wanted to get that little 2 cents in.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. But I really liked. I liked. Well, actually, now that I'm looking at the track list, there were 3 more songs that I really liked. I liked Trippy quite a bit. Just because I like J. Cole a lot, and I thought his verse was pretty fun, even though the lyrics weren't, top-notch J. Cole, but his flow was really nice. Cheers was lyrically, I thought, one of the best songs on the album because it did a very good job of, expressing remorse for Mac Miller's passing. And Q-Tip also did the same with Phife Dawg. But at the same time, it was more about the celebration of life, and you got to live it up because those guys are gone, and that's what they would want you to do. And then Sweet Chick was just a really funny song, I thought. Like, when he's talking about the lazy chick that he has, and he's laying D, and she, like, gets tired and has to stop, like... That was so great.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers, I feel, is the happy sad song of 2018. Like best happy sad song in a while, to be honest. The whole song, if you're not listening to what they're saying, it sounds so happy. But then when you listen to what they're getting into, you get goosebumps of like, yeah, truly just remorse that maybe I didn't spend enough time with this friend of mine that passed away. But like, how do you tell someone to slow down if you're living life just as fast as them?
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really crazy how they got into that.
Yeah, I think overall the way he structured the album, there are a lot of songs like that where it has replayability just if you're not even listening to the lyrics. But if you do want that deep dive of a listen, you can still very much appreciate it for its comedy and its depth.
Yeah,
for sure,
absolutely.
Another thing, you wrote this down in the show notes that he seems right at home in the spotlight, and the man just can't stop smiling.
Oh yeah,
that is something that I've enjoyed about Anderson Paak for a long time. But in all of the promo leading up to this album, everything he's posted on Instagram is just so like it's him dancing, him falling off that table, and then he totally embraced it with just like dancing on more tables, and then he's like, oh, I can do this now. It's just, he seems to be taking fame very well.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's been going on this whole, like, he's doing kind of the YouTube tour where he's doing all the little mini YouTube shows like Hot Ones and Over Under on Complex.
He's actually going to be on our show next week. What?
No. Who knew?
No.
That would be cool.
That would be insane.
But yeah, he's just so much fun to watch be himself, and like that makes me like him as an artist so much. And especially with so many terrible people in the genre that I love, it's really nice to see a good guy like him.
He's got his son in his videos all the time. He just seems like a really stand-up dude. Obviously there's always things that you won't know that people hide, but he seems to be taking fame very well. Like my brother and I were talking about the trappings of fame yesterday, and he just seems to be breezing by all that.
Yeah, he's kind of got the Chance vibe to him where he provides a lot of good content, but still has the ability to kind of stay true and keep to himself. If you don't follow his Instagram, it's freaking sweet.
It's amazing.
I don't know if he still does this, but he did this cool thing where if you were just on his like homepage and not on any pictures, he would have multiple pictures be creating one larger picture. I know a lot of profiles do that, but he does things like that and just very funny videos like him falling off that table.
He actually recently switched from that. There's an archive page now that has all of that stuff that used to be there, but close to the release of Oxnard, he just like dropped that format, and now he's just doing single pictures. Because if you're doing that, you can't really do single pictures because it would screw up everything else. But yeah, his Instagram is still amazing. His stories and Cardi B's stories are my favorite stories to watch.
Oh yeah, Cardi B cracks me up.
Cardi B always gets crazy. There's always something insane going on. What else do we want to say about Oxnard? I feel like just very positive vibes.
Yeah. What did you guys think of the production overall? Because I thought it was pretty on point. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and it didn't feel too different from Malibu at points. Like Tints could have totally been on Malibu, but it felt more hip hop maybe. and less like instrumental R&B. Like I feel like Dr. Dre's presence is really felt on the album, and it's top notch, to be honest. Like there's no song specifically where I'm like, oh, this one's kind of boring. I kind of want to skip this.
Yeah, it was definitely rich with production, and the pace was a little bit higher, I think, than a lot of. There were some slower Malibu songs, and this was kind of like everything had a good tempo to it. Not a whole lot of like particularly slow jams.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, which I expected that to happen too, because hopefully Dr. Dre is the kind of person that's like, if he thinks something is crap, he'll tell you, and he'll be like, you shouldn't put this on the album. Just throw it out.
I mean, the guy's worth $1 billion. I think he definitely does that. Yeah.
Anyone will listen to Dr. Dre if he tells them to take something off an album.
Totally.
For sure.
And it's like, from what it sounds like, he was kind of the quarterback of this album, where he wasn't maybe, he only provided a small amount of vocals on this, and who knows how much he actually produced, but I'm sure he was the guy in command saying, like, okay, this beat works with these lyrics, tweak this little part, and I think, there are a lot less gaps in the album because of that.
Well, another thing that I like that Anderson did on this album and the previous album, the features. He has a lot of, like, A-listers. He has Pusha T, he has Snoop Dogg, J. Cole, Q-Tip, Kendrick. But then he also has a bunch of female artists that we've never heard of. Kaja Bonet is on the first one. Norel is on the second song. Sonye, Elise. All of these people that I've never heard of that I'm actually very interested to look into since, like, from hearing this album. And I'm pretty sure he had a bunch of artists like that on Malibu, too. It's cool when you see artists doing that, like, just, like, bringing people on that are smaller.
Yeah, totally.
To just give them that clout.
Got to pay it forward. I mean, that's what Dr. Dre is doing with him to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And what he did on, I think his big breakout was that album Compton. Yeah.
Yeah. So it makes sense. Anderson, keep doing your thing.
Woo.
We fucking love you. New kids. Speaking of new kids, JID, DiCaprio2, Dreamville signee, JID or JID. I don't really know which one's the right one. We should be
either one.
He references it both.
Both of them. Yeah, he
both
calls
ways.
himself both in his songs. So Dreamville, J. Cole's New Boy. Actually, maybe the first time I heard of him was on that J. Cole freestyle where J. Cole talks about, like, hey, my boy Boz is dropping an album soon, and also JD Jid.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, who are these kids? I should check them out. And then Boz's album was great. And then this album is freaking flames. I also heard people comparing JID to Kendrick, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I kind of got the comparison.
What do you see there?
It's the high-pitched voices and just, I guess, the amazing lyricism. Not all amazing lyricists are compared to Kendrick, but they're very... JID has a lot to say. This kid is, like, he's a rapper's rapper, first of all.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You listen to his songs for the raps, for the lyrics. And I really, really like this album. How did you feel about DiCaprio2?
Dude, I loved it. I actually listened to him a little bit on the Never story. He had a couple highlights on it. Never was probably my favorite song on it. I think that was one of the more mainstream hits. But overall, though, this album compared to the Never story had way more bangers production-wise, which was sweet. He also didn't really have many slow jams on the last album, so that was a cool wrinkle to it. But his parallels with Kendrick, for me, one of the things you didn't mention was his ability to change his flows and shift gears in a song was, like, very Kendrick. The way he slows down a lot of the time, or, like, gets his voice all nasally and high-pitched. Very, very similar. But, like, we watched a Fantano video earlier this week, and we both don't really want to get the Kendrick parallel going, but it's definitely there a little bit.
Yeah, and Fantano himself said that, like, just let the kid be his own thing. Like, don't, like, urging the internet to not immediately make comparisons with Kendrick, because as a newcomer, I mean, I feel like
tough to live up to.
Yeah, it's the greatest compliment, but yeah, it's also really, really tough to live up to.
But it's good to compare, someone who's new to a well-established rapper, just to get him, into the airwaves and get people listening to him, because, that's makes it much more likely for your friends to listen to him if you say, hey, he's got a little Kendrick in him.
That's kind of what got me into it. If you're not familiar and you want to kind of get an idea of what the album sounds like, it has a it has a modern boom bappy vibe kind of throughout. Like it's not very trappy, but it does get trappy at times. Jid's from Atlanta, so it would make sense that he'd have that flavor in there. And he has a bunch of great features on here. A$AP Ferg, J. Cole, Black, BJ the Chicago Kid, Joey Badass, Method Man. The song with A$AP Ferg on it, that's as much A$AP Ferg as I kind of ever want to hear. That's perfect. That's perfect for me. Give him a hook, have him yell, and it sounds great. But
why are you hating on A$AP Ferg, man?
I don't like him, dude.
We're trying to keep it positive, and here you are bringing it down A$AP Ferg.
Nah, A$AP Ferg, come at me, bro.
See, we're
I love
showering Jid with praise, and you come out and sucker punch A$AP Ferg. I don't know.
I wouldn't sucker punch A$AP Ferg.
I
wouldn't either.
No.
But Yiorgos is like, fuck it.
I wouldn't even like caress his face. Like I wouldn't even do this kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
because then he would still punch me back. But it's just I'm not about A$AP Ferg. I like Rocky. I'm not big into A$AP Ferg. I'm not big into his sound. I guess his voice. There's something about him that I'm not crazy about. But I'm
not crazy about that
Westbrook.
take. So
okay, damn. Well, maybe we can debate it sometime.
The other part about this album is that it's like, it's not really like there aren't a lot of concepts. There are a lot of concepts throughout, but there's not really an overarching concept. It's more of like a mixtape vibe, but all the songs are like album quality, which I think is a great way to get more listeners for him. Because I've already found myself bumping the shit out of this thing like for the past week and a half,
kind of
nonstop,
spreading a wide net. Yeah. There's something for everyone,
and it's not, you can come back to it. It's not like To Pimp a Butterfly or a crazy concept album like that where you have to like dive back into it.
Yeah,
for sure.
What are some of your favorite songs?
Strawberries is far and away my favorite. Yiorgos mentioned the vocals from BJ the Chicago Kid. They're freaking fantastic.
We were just bumping it right before we started
I think he's
recording.
Also on Cheers, right? Or no, is it what song is he on? He's
on
also on Paak's album.
The one with the women.
Yeah.
Sweet Chick.
Sweet Chick.
Yeah.
Also great vocals on that.
Yeah.
151 Rum's a really, really fun song. What else do we have here? Working Out. I watched, the first time I heard it was on, it's like the Colors segment on YouTube. It's like this French company that brings artists on and they perform one song in a room that is painted to embody the color of that song.
What?
Oh,
it's really, really cool. And so Jid performs in this room that's like, it's like a deep purple, probably like the purple of this. And it's just him in purple. And he's just going in on this song, Working Out, which is just this smooth melodic jam just about like getting by and working hard. And it's got, he preaches a lot of good values on this album. And I think Strawberries, my favorite song, is all about standing up for your chick and supporting your chick. And that's very much like counter to what a lot of rappers do. And it's great to see a young guy doing that.
Yeah, for
absolutely.
Sure. Off to Zoinkies is also really great.
I thought, that song is like a page right out of KOD. Because it's just like all about addiction. And I like how he, at certain points, at one point in the song, he's like addressing his friend who's addicted to some substance, and he's like, I get it because I've been an addict too, and this is understandable, but I want you to change. And like, I just really like the message of that song, that, you know, it takes like kind of a holistic view at drug problems, and, you know, he makes it very obvious that he is not okay with the drug use that is going on in the industry and in his community. And I really like that he took a strong stance on that.
He's, just like you said, there's no overarching concept, but every song has an idea and it follows through with it. That's the other thing. He doesn't just drop it. And then his features also like really add to what he's doing. Off D's with J. Cole is fire.
Absolute
all the
fire.
way through. Like when we're talking quick raps, like Logic and Joyner Lucas and Eminem obviously come to mind, but this is up there now in my mind with like if you think of fast rap songs, and J. Cole's like following right along with him. It's really, really cool to hear them on the song together.
And Jid's so comfortable rapping fast. You can hear every single word very clearly while he's just going at light speed.
Yeah.
Like and I like that song too because he repeats, and I don't often like this, but he repeats the chorus a lot of times because the chorus itself is so dense. And he raps it so fast that he can fit it in so many times, and it's just so fucking catchy.
By the end of the song, you kind of barely know the words to the hook just because he said it that many times. But that's the thing. You have to revisit this album in order to know any of the lyrics almost. He does have a couple of hooks that he sings also. And he's really good at that, too. This kid is like, he's got everything. I don't remember which one it was. Maybe it was Slick Talk, where he's... And then a problem.
That's Slick Talk.
Really good. Production wise, I got Brockhampton vibes. Did you guys get Brockhampton vibes at all? With the weird, like the high pitched sounds. A little bit.
I'd have to go back and check. I'm more thinking of like Iridescence and stuff, and not. That's just like the freshest Brockhampton in my head.
Right.
So
More Saturation 2-ish.
Yeah.
With the weird Romeo sounds.
Yeah.
I kind of got that vibe.
I can see that. I feel like it was a little like richer of a sound than that. I think there was a little more going on. I feel like some of those Brockhampton cuts were like a little more raw instrumentals.
Obviously, when you have J. Cole backing you, you're going to get some good production.
Yeah, and like DJ Drama's on this, I believe. I don't know if there are any other DJs, but
I hate. Well, okay, I don't hate. but
here it
I'm
is.
not a huge.
Are you spreading positivity and fans just sucker punching DJ Drama?
Oh yeah, true.
No, I want to hear it. What
What you got?
DJ Drama's ad libs are so annoying, and he says
They're not hype.
Oh my
Not
god.
hype.
He just I don't know. I don't remember anything in particular he says, but it's always like, "We're out here in the streets, and you can't find a dollar. Let's go get it." Like
that's his
just-
vibe. I think we should have a segment in the future for producer ad libs. Because who's the other guy that does? There's a producer that has some great ad libs, and I can't remember his name right now.
It's probably not Tay Keith, but he's.
No.
I'm just blurting out producer names. Not DJ
Metro
Mustard.
Boomin.
Not
It's
Metro.
not Metro. It's one of these
London
older
on the
guys.
track. Lex Luger.
He's on a lot of Kendrick songs. I feel like he was on Yay too. He was like, he does those.
Oh,
like,
Swizz
Oh,
Beats.
Kenny.
Swizz Beats. Swizz Beats.
I love
dude.
Swizz Beats.
Great voice.
because he actually raps.
Right.
So
But he also has like great, just his voice, whatever he says. Sounds
and he does
great.
hooks too. So he's pretty fun.
We
But
could
DJ
totally
Drama.
do that segment. Damn, we got a thumbs down from Benny D. I could agree with you on that.
But he produces pretty well. So
There you go.
who am I to hate? I guess.
Stick
Two
to,
steps forward, one step back.
Yeah.
Stick to your day job from Benny D right here. Okay, let's move on to the next topic of discussion, which is the Meek Mill's album. Meek Mill, he's friends with Drake now.
Yeah, apparently.
That's all I know. Ben, take it away.
I saw this pretty funny article that said, like, Meek Mill and Drake have settled their differences to move on to more profitable beefs.
Yep.
Which is so true. It's just like, all the beefs these days are just like, ooh, okay, I'm irrelevant. Who can I get into a beef with to bring my name up?
Rustle up the news cycle a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. But the album, I gave it like 1.5 listens through. It's your standard Meek Mill, but it's done well. It's got some really like hyped up production. It's a good album to work out to. I know Matt listens to Meek Mill a lot when he works out.
It is called Championships, the album itself. And the cover art seems to be Meek Mill in like football gear with streamers flying down.
Yeah, I can't really
weird
tell.
Cover art, very weird cover art.
But it's your standard Meek Mill. I think this is a good album that he put out. I mean, it'd be a fun album to go see in concert. His flows are pretty good. He has a few songs like Oodles, Noodles, Babies is about, like growing up poor. And he has a few songs like What's Free about like the prison system. And, I think those are some like that's subject matter that he hasn't really breached. And I'm sure a lot of that is because he had these legal issues going on in the past year or so. So obviously that's on his mind a lot. I'm honestly surprised he didn't talk about that more. like that was such a huge thing
huge,
that
like a
happened
free
in his
Meek Mill
life.
thing. Yeah.
And there's only, if you listen to the album and you didn't know that he had gone to jail for this ridiculous court case, you wouldn't have even known that that had happened. And it's like a more skilled lyrical rapper probably could have, you know, made more of that and made a bigger, you know, made more social commentary about it. But I think that's probably indicative of the way that he processes that experience. He's like, okay, let's talk about it, but I'm a boss, so let's move on.
That's I find that Meek Mill, even though like he drops his albums on Spotify now, I still think all of them kind of fall under the realm of mixtape. Like not very coherent at all for the most part. Like on this, you've got like you do have some songs where he alludes to that, but then you just have like the song that's actually pretty good with Jay-Z and Rick Ross. What's it?
What's free?
Yeah, What's Free? Rick Ross actually drops a pretty good verse. So shout out Rick for your first good verse in forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, that one's a lot of fun. And the other thing is like he does this mixtape thing where he blends like really fun samples. Like the intro song is he's sampling In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins, and when the drums come in, the beat change is just so fire. It's so good. Like that's what Meek Mill does best, is like he just sets this hype aesthetic and you're just like, ooh, like I literally did that the first time I heard it. I was like, oh shit.
I did like that song.
Yeah, and the production on this album's pretty hype. He's got this one song with Cardi B, and it's just like this like insane like chopped up trap beat, and it's super fun. It's just about getting laid, obviously.
You have Cardi B on. What are you going to talk about?
Yeah, exactly. What else do you talk about? And Cardi B's like, I'm a bad bitch.
Yep, expected.
Yep. And man, Future is on Splash Warning, which is like,
I haven't heard that one.
It's like Future is doing more of, I guess he's in his la-di-da-di-da realm on that. Not full.
Like the falsetto?
Not
like
full on, but he's doing some really weird ad-libs. But he does it enough where I'm like, shit, this is getting stuck in my head, but I hate it.
Ooh. It's one of those sneaky, sticky.
Yeah,
Future.
sneaky sticky. I like that. Did you just come up with that?
That's actually my rap name,
Sneaky Sticky.
Yeah, I'm dropping my mixtape soon.
I don't know about that as a rap name, but
it's
just, you know, a passing term. I like it.
The working cover art for my mixtape is the cucumber emoji.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh, the cucumber emoji and then the drip, like the drop.
Yeah.
Nope. All right. Okay. This is
shameless promo by Yiorgos.
Check it out only on SoundCloud though, because I'm real. This album features wise, again, another like who's who of today's like drippy rap kind of guys.
That's like I said, the archetypal mixtape stuff, like cool samples, dope features. Like he always has good features on his mixtapes and albums, no question.
Jay-Z kind of sticks out as a we got Future, Drake, Kodak Black, 21 Savage, Young Thug, and then Jay-Z. Like to me, it feels like one of these is not like the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a great verse from him. That's the one song that I've heard a bunch of times. And then the fact that he tweeted, he told everyone like go listen to Meek's album, Meek and Drake on there together. That was crazy.
Yeah.
If you, I don't know if people have checked out Jay-Z's Twitter. He's tweeted like 5 times maybe, and he's not very good with punctuation. He's really like a dad Twitterer, like kind of not knowing what to do. But in his verse where he talks about like don't Michael and Prince me and Ye, I kind of like that. It gave a little bit of, he had to say something, I think.
Yeah, and then
on all of Ye's craziness.
And then like he had a tweet about it, and then Kanye responded to that tweet, and he was just like Thrones 2 ? And now everyone's losing their minds.
Of course.
Kanye knows how to pull the strings of the internet. What else is new?
He's like he's like the millennial son of Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Trying to help him out. Better market himself.
But he's like the cool dad at this point because he's old.
He's 40.
Is he cool though?
He clearly has his finger on the pulse. Like he just says Throne 2 and the internet fucking jumps and has an aneurysm. You know what I mean? He's up there. Teo and I were talking about yesterday how Travis and Kylie are kind of the new Kim and Kanye.
Oh.
It seems like they've taken all of those eyeballs, because we went to the Travis Scott concert yesterday, and we were looking around, and it was kind of like all the young kids, like all the girls were trying to look like Kylie, and all the guys were trying to look like Travis. That was just kind of it. And I feel like that probably used to be Kim and Kanye, but no kids like younger than us, under 20, are trying to look like Kim and Kanye.
I mean, that'd be weird.
Yeah, that would be, yeah. Unless they're dressing up for Halloween or something, I don't know. But
I wore a few pink polos in the day.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the thing. He used to be that
yeah,
person, but now it's just kind of something else. Speaking of something else, we got this kid that's really something else called Tekashi 6ix9ine. Just kind of a trash person all around.
Mm-hmm. Scumbag of the week.
Scumbag of the week. He's in jail right now.
I think he's on trial. Oh yeah, no, he isn't in jail.
Yeah.
Apparently, he got into some gang violence in jail recently. A couple days ago.
Give me this background, because I'm not read up on Tekashi.
Okay.
I try to distance myself, and I'm glad that you can do my dirty work for me, because I just don't want to know anything about this guy. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So yes, the man known as Daniel Hernandez, aka Tekashi 6ix9ine. I was doing a little research on him because I was listening to his music, and there's one song on the new album, Stupid, which I really fucking love. But then I was thinking, like, this guy's kind of just a really bad person. So maybe if I read about how shitty of a person he is, I'll stop listening to him. But basically, he went to jail when he was, I think, somewhere between 14 and 16 years old. He got heavily involved with this especially violent sect of the Bloods. Then he got out of prison, and he started rapping at that point. And then to increase his street cred for rapping, he hired a manager who was very involved in the Bloods, and then, got re-involved in that, and then he was on trial for a previous case where he had like some child pornography, had videotaped like one of his buddies having sex with like a 13-year-old.
Oh.
And he was on trial for that. And one of the stipulations of that case was that he had to disassociate with that manager. And then things got very violent, where one of 6ix9ine's music video sets with Kanye and Nicki Minaj got shot up, and he got kidnapped and, got beat up and had a bunch of jewelry stolen and almost died. And now he's on trial for an armed robbery that he committed with his manager, which he might go to jail for life for, and fuck him, so I don't really care.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting story about the bigger picture, and it seems like we keep coming back to this idea of, should we listen to these artists that are terrible people but put out, music that we like to listen to? And, we saw this with XXX Tentacion. Now we're seeing it with him. It's a real shame, and like it makes me think about what I've done to fuel the industry by listening to artists like this. And, I probably wouldn't listen to him if he was the same guy that he was, but toned down the violence and the aggression in his music, because that's what sells.
It's what makes him interesting, right? It's funny because, cool, I totally forgot what I was going to say. And Matty G.
And I think what makes it even more baffling that people buy into this shit is that there's social media up there now, so like he's very public with the wrongdoings that he does and owns them. Whereas like back in the day, you'd have like gangster rap where they were talking about running and gunning, and you might hear about it on the news, but you wouldn't have them actively being like, look at me, I'm about to rob a store, or I'm about to do some stupid shit. And this guy does that, and people, just because they get their eyeballs on that, they get curious, and then they listen to the album, and then it's more of a vibe than anything to them. I don't think anyone thinks the music is good by any means. Maybe it's like kind of hype at times, but
the album.
I think they just feed into the viralness of him, and I think. I don't think, for different reasons, I think Kanye functions like that as well now. But, like, I think a lot of younger guys see Kanye riding that internet wave, and they're like, that's the only way to do it. If I don't think I can handle it lyrically or content-wise from just a hip-hop standpoint.
Yeah.
You have to add more layers to your onion.
The album did debut at number 2 on the Billboard charts, so
Which is insane.
So people are clearly listening to it. That's the thing. My big question is, I mean, I'm glad that you're concerned with this. Like, should I be listening to this, and should I be, giving him my stream numbers? But I'm wondering, are people concerned about this? Every one of these songs I'm looking now on Spotify has like over 10 million plays.
But if you go to the Spotify top 50 in the US playlist, a lot of these songs Spotify chose to put on this playlist. So I see on my friend feed one day that one of my coworkers, who's this very mild-mannered girl who likes to listen to punk rock and whatever's on the Pop 100, and I see her listening to 6ix9ine, and I'm like, wait, what's going on? And I message her, and I'm like, are you seriously listening to 6ix9ine? She's like, oh, every song on the top 50 in the US is 6ix9ine. And, like, they probably play the biggest role in perpetuating this music.
YouTube is going through a very similar thing where people are getting in trouble for what they're doing, and YouTube as a company doesn't know if it should shut them down. They've been taking away their monetization, which is something that they can do, but Spotify doesn't really do, I guess. So I think didn't Spotify take down someone's music?
They did with X. They took down some of his music, and then they got flack for it and kind of put it back on. I forget the exact details, but then he died, and then the music came back onto like more of the public playlists, and it's definitely a tricky situation to maneuver for them, I think.
Yeah,
but.
I'm kind of pissed that Kanye is on 2 songs in this album, and apparently 6ix9ine is on Yandhi as well. So, Kanye's got enough controversy as it is. Why are you supporting this guy?
That's what I mean, man. Like, riding the waves. That's what Kanye does. Like, he's on a Lil Pump song for a reason. He's on a Tekashi 6ix9ine song for a reason.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not him. It's a bad look. Like that on his face is a bad look. But at the end of the day, he's just trying to keep himself relevant, and the best way to do that is to be with the most viral, controversial guys.
Yeah, I think didn't they say that XXXTentacion also has a verse on that song for Yandhi?
I'm pretty sure he's featured on it as well.
Yeah, he might be on a different song, but just the fact that he has both of those guys is just kind of trying to make a statement.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't understand what the statement is.
He's worn a "Make America Great Again" hat. It's like all that. Know, like it's a lot of things that a lot of people find morally disruptive.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a morally, and that's what people. I feel like that is. This is gonna evolve into a Kanye discussion, but like ever since like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, he just like broadens his scope of what's like morally fucked that he kind of supports, and like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was all about like sex and his like complicated relationship with Amber Rose, and then it just like keeps getting further and further out there. And I feel like I'm interested, and I almost think a little part of him is like, I want to see how far I can like push this and see how people still support me, because it's like it is kind of ridiculous that we all still kind of not ridiculous, but I feel like it's building to that point where it's gonna be like, dude, like just cut the crap.
Which is kind of how Trump is right now, just saying the most crazy things, almost as if on a bet. Like someone was like, "What's the craziest thing you can say?" Well, here I go.
Yeah,
trying to say the crazy stuff. Yeah. Well, in this industry, I'm happy that we do have artists like Jid and like Anderson that are really doing their thing, just in a clean way. Clean, I guess. Morally clean, because they get raunchy. They swear in every single song. They're not wholesome by any means. It's not something that like maybe a mom might freak out if a kid is listening to it. But and even a Travis Scott for that matter, who's I consider him very basic in his content. At least he's not doing terrible things to people, and he's morally seems to be on the right page.
It's like us.
Yeah.
Good quality podcast.
Yeah.
Not much.
Mostly wholesome.
Mostly wholesome. Not much their content wise. And there you go.
Not that part of it.
Yeah, no, not that.
You
part.
do it. You do
We got the content.
This is a podcast that you can take home to mom.
And that's
Depends on your mom.
And that's what we got for you today on Earbuds Podcast. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to the YouTube page if you want. We're going to get an RSS feed up and going at some point.
Oh,
Yes.
News. Breaking news.
What does that actually mean? I have no idea what that
An
is.
RSS feed like makes us a real podcast, so we can be on Apple Podcasts and like things that people actually listen to.
Whoa.
Can we start saying subscribe wherever you get podcasts?
Subscribe where? Well, we can't.
Ben's eyes just
What?
jumped out of his head.
We don't have sponsors yet, but we might get there at some point.
Listen up, hot ones.
Hot ones. Joe Rogan.
On it.
Someone. Is it Barstool?
I don't care who the fuck you are. Just pay us.
Just give us
Jif peanut butter would be great too.
That's
I'm a
Maddie-
big peanut butter guy, so
Maddie G
help
will
me out.
totally,
but they're
will
a little
totally
too
have
sugary.
a jar right here
Mhm.
and just be eating it if they pay us money.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you in the next one.